What's going on, everybody? Gleez here, and today in this video we're going to check out a very inexpensive wireless controller for the NES Classic. You can get this controller for about $5 currently on Amazon, and I was looking for a controller that I could play my NES Classic wirelessly. I was looking for a second one. I do have the 8-bit DOE controller, absolutely recommend it, but it's rather expensive. It's definitely worth the money that you pay for it, but we're going to check out the My Arcade controller and see if this is going to be worth the $5 that I spent on it. I would imagine that it is. It's only $5, but it could be so bad that you don't even want to use it. The way we're going to test this controller, we're going to go with some perceived input lag, which is going to be really important if I could feel lag while I play the games. These are games I'm very familiar with. I'm very versed in input lag in games, as I do play a lot of fighting games. I play on multiple different monitors. I'm pretty sensitive to it, and I've played these games 100 times over. So we're going to play games that I'm specifically familiar with to allow me to understand if there is input lag perceived. We're not going to actually measure it. We're also going to take a look at the build quality as well as how the D-pad feels and the buttons as well. So if you're interested in trying to find a wireless controller for your NES Classic and are curious if this $5 one is going to work for you, be sure to stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do here is unbox this bad boy. This is the box that it comes in, and it's sealed up like Fort Knox. It has tape on 3 sides, so I had to take that thing off camera, use some scissors, and really cut that bad boy open. You can see right here we do have some instructions in multiple languages, and we have the controller and the dongle, one of my favorite words in all of tech. You notice that the buttons are square, the D-pad feels pretty good, and it comes with a dedicated home button. The dongle goes into the front of the system, and you can use this on the Wii as well. So as we take a look at the controller, I pick it up, bring it a little closer to the camera, the buttons do feel way different. They're a square button, they're raised up. They don't feel bad though, it actually feels pretty good. So we're gonna take a little bit closer of a look here, get a little slow motion panoramic view shot here. And you can see that the shape of the controller is also different. On the back side, there's also some grooves that you can hold your hand where the batteries go, which does feel kind of comfortable, but the controller for me is a bit small. We're going to compare it to the original NES controller, and you can see it's about maybe ½ an inch shorter left to right. It's also way thicker. So as you can see here, we put the controllers next to each other. The thickness of it is quite extensive, and the reason why that is because, as you can see on the back, that's where the batteries go. So because of that, there is a wider section on each end and a little groove for you to put your fingers on the bottom. It's not the most comfortable if you have big hands like I do. So we're into the NES Classic here. So we're going to check out games that I'm really familiar with, and the first game that we're going to check out is Castlevania. Now, one of the big things with Castlevania is the beginning of the game. When you're walking toward the initial entrance to the castle, there's that jump that is pretty precise, and usually if there's some input lag, I don't get that jump real well to get the secret money bag. So as we're moving forward here, I'm just hitting the buttons, just trying to see if there's any delay or input delay here as we're playing, and I don't really notice any, but here's the challenge. Can I make this jump? And I do, perfectly. Everything works out well, the controller feels great, and I don't feel any input lag. The buttons, again, like I said, do feel a little bit different to press because they are square, but I will say that they're very responsive. They do have a nice tactile feel when you're pushing them, and the D-pad is rather good. We're going to test some other input lag experiences here with these jumps from these dogs or panthers, or I don't know what you want to call them, whatever they are. So next we're going to check out Contra. And we got the code in, everything's good, and this is a game that requires a lot of very precise inputs. So if there is any type of input delay, I'm going to feel it on this game, and we're going to see that initially right in the front by the bridges. Will there be input lag? And we make the jumps. Everything's good, and we're moving forward in Contra. Everything feels great. There's also some instances in the game where I do some particular jumps with the spread gun in order to bust up the cannons, and usually when there's input delay on something, I can't really get this down too well, but right here you can see I'm doing a pretty good job with it, and I'm really happy with how this controller is playing currently. And last but not least, Zelda II. Now this is a game that I used to speedrun, so I know this game inside and out. I know how it should feel. I know how the button should respond, and everything works great here. As you can see, we're able to go through the dark cave, get our little jump stabs going. Also, we have the Octorocks, in which it takes a little bit of precise timing here to get this down properly, block that rock that he's shooting at me, and everything is good. So overall, I am pretty impressed with this controller, especially for the $5 price tag. Is it perfect? It's not perfect. Some people are not really going to like the square buttons. I don't mind them, they feel okay. The thing that bothers me the most is the fact that the controller is so much smaller. And when I say so much smaller, just an inch isn't really that much smaller, but the original Nintendo controller is small to begin with. And if you're somebody that has big hands like I do, that can pose quite a bit of an issue. The D-pad feels really good, I have no complaints there, and the dedicated home button is definitely a breath of fresh air. I'll leave a link to this controller down in the description below if you want to check it out. Also, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you get updated whenever I post new content. As always, thanks for checking in. It's Jay Gleez signing out, and continue to game strong.